Welcome to Economics and Politics. Today I'm going to talk about national insurance. National insurance is quite an interesting one actually, because it's a tax just like income tax. And what the Labour Party found out in the Blair years was that if you put a penny on income tax, the public go crazy. They really don't like it. What? Putting up my income tax? I'm not having that. But what Gordon Brown managed to do was put up national insurance instead. And the first rise, I remember it well, it was a penny in the pound. It's just, I'm putting it up by a penny. And he got away with it. Nobody objected. There was no issues. He put it up from 9% to 10%. So let's see if you can get over this conundrum. If the national insurance rate rises from 9p to 10p, how much has it risen by? Well, it's risen by 10%. But of course, nobody mentioned that at the time. The papers didn't mention it. The news media didn't mention it. Nobody mentioned that this was a 10% hike in national insurance. And wow, it became a favourite, because a few years later, you want to increase taxes. Oh, I know, tell you what, put up national insurance, nobody complains. And we can say it's just by a penny. So in fact, what was dressed up as a 1% increase, in other words, 1 penny in the pound, was in fact a 10% increase. Now, the Labour Party have put up national insurance to 15p in the pound. So that's a hike of 50%. National insurance has gone up by 50% in real terms, because we're talking as a percentage. Even as our wages may have increased with inflation over the years, we're now paying 50% more in national insurance than we were before. Or rather, the national insurance that employers pay has gone up by 50%. True, they managed to hold the national insurance at the worker rate to whatever it is, 12.5p or 13p. Details below. But the thing is, it has gone up, and it's gone up for employers, and it's gone up by 50%. Now, can employers continue with that? Again, supply side policies. If you reduced national insurance, you'd get more people employed. More people would be employable. Firms would be more prepared to take people on. If the national insurance rate comes in, and it comes in at a lower rate of pay, you start to pay it, then we really are going to end up with the supply curve, again, moving to the left. When the supply curve moves to the left, we start to get inflation. We always get a rise in prices because firms have to pass on some of that rise in costs onto their customers. And the amount of that will relate to the elasticity of demand for their products. We'll go into that in more detail another time. But basically, the effect of the national minimum wage rising the way it has is it is going to create unemployment, some unemployment. I can't say how much. You can't measure these things really. But in the round, with the other policies, yes, definitely more unemployment and higher prices. In other words, it's going to put pressure on prices, and it means that our real take-home pay is going to reduce. Unless, of course, we pay people more, or businesses pay people more. Well, do you think people are the firms are going to increase wages as well as pay more in national insurance? I don't think so.